Just a regular Sunday. And, we were getting ready to go to Wendy's. And Carter, she sent a text to my phone and she said, "Are you getting ready to go to sleep yet or relax?" I said, "No, we're about to leave." She's like, "Okay." So I come out, I tell her and her friend, "Throw your shoes on, we're going to Wendy's." And they're excited, we're getting biggie bags and stuff. So I go put my shoes on and then she's just like, I need my mom. And so I'm like, "What's the matter?" And she's like, "I need my treatment." I said, "Okay." So I put the treatment on her, but it gets worse. Like, it just kicked up really bad. It's never been like that before. Like, it's never been that bad of an episode, like stomach really extending. So I take her to the bathroom. She's spitting up mucus, which isn't abnormal. So I grab her a hoodie. I said, "We're going to the hospital." And she's like, "No, we're not going there." And I said, "Yes, we are." And so she spits up some more mucus. And then she grabs my arm and she's like, "I'm sorry, but I don't know what's going on." And everything, she just turns blue. And that's it. She falls in my arm and it's like, I could feel like something just slip away, like something slipped out my hands and slipped out my chest. And my friend is there and he's performing CPR. And it's just like this presence around us, really, really heavy. I don't know, I don't know. It was very unexpected. So the fear, because she was terrified. I've never seen her scared before. The asthma attack alone was big, but she went into cardiac arrest, and that's what really took it over the top. So they did CPR on her for an hour. My friend did CPR, and ambulance came really fast. Like within 3 minutes they got there. There was already an officer in that court in the area. We're in Galloway. We get to the hospital, and it's just crazy, the transition from just everything. One of the directors of nurses, the lead nurse or whoever she was, as soon as I got there, she was already downstairs as if she knew me already. So she said, "Come with me," and she takes me to the back. Carter's ambulance isn't even there yet. So she looks at me and she goes, "You look like you like to pray, so let's just pray." So we're praying. She's praying with me, praying over Carter, praying over me. And she's like, "Don't worry, she's going to make it to her next destination." And I'm like, "Okay." So they get her there, my family, friends, my mom, poppy, not my poppy, my mom, sister and everything. Kalia, gets there. And we're just waiting. And then the head nurse, she finally comes back. She's fine. We got a pulse, everything. And she said, "Didn't I tell you not to cry? She's going to make it to her next destination." So she gives me a hug and she's like, "Everything's going to be okay." So "I'll let you know when you guys can go and see her." So we're waiting. We're a little bit more thankful, like, "Oh my goodness, starting to ease." And then she comes back and you guys can see her now. And then she says, "It may get rough from here, but it's going to be okay." So I'm like, "Okay." So we go see her. They have her tubes in and everything. But it was strange because it was like she got her color back. She wasn't blue anymore. But seeing her, it was like I knew she was there, but she wasn't there. But I'm like, she just has to wake up. She just went through this traumatic experience because when she went into the cardiac arrest, everything shuts down from your brain to everything to the tip of your toe. So I'm like, she's tired. She just has to get herself, charged up. And so CHOP comes and they transfer us to CHOP Hospital. And even that transition, when the EMTs from CHOP came, it was like they just commanded the room. It just felt like, okay, we're in good hands. We're going to a great hospital. So we get to the hospital. All the doctors and nurses, they're already waiting by her room. And as soon as we get there, the lead doctor, he says, "Carter's here." And I'm just like, wow, oh my goodness, like they're all this communication and waiting for my daughter and everything. So then they set her up. They're like, we're gonna get her connected. We're worried about her first, and then we'll speak. So they're letting me know everything, that happened. She went into cardiac arrest and the asthma attack and flaring in the neck and everything. There was, even though they did CPR for an hour, it just it just wasn't enough oxygen to get to her brain in enough time. So she went with about an hour without there being any oxygen or blood flow. And I couldn't understand that at first because I'm like, the CPR and then the machine that they use and things like that. Yeah, and then I didn't think about the fact that since everything shut down, oxygen has to go to everything. Blood has to go everywhere. And so that next day, they're telling us that either, she may be passed from being unresponsive and brain dead, or she could possibly have another cardiac arrest. And so that broke our heart immediately because it was like, oh my goodness, like we had a little bit of hope and you're telling us this. But the doctors at CHOP, everybody was amazing because even though they really knew what the outcome was, they still did every single thing. Like the first day of testing, it was just the general testing to see if there was any response. Then the second day it was more detailed, which was a little hard to watch. They're pushing water through her ears and putting cotton swabs in her eyes, trying to inflict pain, trying to find any sign of life. And then they did it again the last day, and we had friends, family, everybody there. And it's a lot to process, especially for your child. But even within those moments, the day before they did the last test, my mom, she sent me a devotional called Peace by the Hospital Bed. And it's about a father who is losing their child and, how to pray, what to pray for, to bring comfort in that moment. And so I read the devotional. It's supposed to be 3 days. I read the whole thing because, of course, you can't go to sleep. You're not eating. So I read the whole thing, and I just got up and I just started to pray over the room. I'm like, God, whatever's not supposed to be here, get it out of here. No harm will touch her. Whatever's meant to be will be. Whatever your will is for her will be your will. I'm praying for peace over her body. I'm praying that she's resting. I'm praying for peace over myself, her dad, family, because everybody was really distraught by this. And her best friend, he's been through traumatic experiences before, and then to be there again for his friend, to be going through something like this is, it's big on a child. So I'm praying, and then it's like a strange peace came over my body. And then I kept saying to her, Dad, I'm like, she looks different. And I'm not saying that, I think she's not there, but it's like I kind of knew she wasn't there. She looked just like my mom. Like she just looked different. And so we were kind of already coming to terms. And then that night they show us the scan of her brain. And so everything was instant with the heart attack and everything. She didn't feel anything. They were like, it's no possible way that there was any pain, which was thankful because I've never seen her so afraid before. I was afraid that did she feel pain or alone? But to know that there was no pain, which that was good for us. So then the next day, everybody's together, and when they pronounced her at 3:14 p.m. on May 8th, we just all began to weep. My mom, I've never seen her cry so hard in my life because she loved her so much. She was an amazing grandma to Carter. And I don't know why, it couldn't have been nobody but God, but I walked to Carter's bed and I just started thanking God. Thank you for Carter. Thank you for everything that you've done for her. Thank you for allowing us to experience her. Thank you for everybody in the room. I'm thanking for my grandma, her mama. Thank you for just being an amazing grandmom to her. Thank you for loving her. Everybody in that room loved her so much. Everyone's had an experience with Carter, and it was always different. And like we were talking about before, it was almost like, as if Carter knew that there was going to be something different, like a change going on in her life, because, we moved back with my parents in October, and Carter, when we moved in, she wouldn't go to bed without reading the Bible. whether it was 12 o'clock in the morning, I have to read my Bible. She asked to go to church, so we went over to Landmark Church, which was a really great church. And she comes out the children's church and she's like, Mommy, I figured out my feelings. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? I know why I'm happy all the time. And I'm like, well, why is that? She's like, I have the love of God on me, and that's what I know I feel every day. And I'm like, wow, my mom, that's amazing, And, that was a great moment. And it's like, but you're still not, reading too deep into it. And then her last week, she has, the week before she had her spring concert, and she kept saying, I really don't want to miss my last performance. And I'm like, you're going to do this again next year. And she's like, no, but I really don't want to miss this performance. And this whole performance, it was voices of the future. The songs that they were singing, we need God to heal the earth. We need peace. Together forever, no matter where we are, and things like that. And Carter has never had rhythm, and for this concert, she did amazing. She had all the rhythm. She was caught up with everything, but the messages behind the songs were so deep. And I'm like, these are children, and it's crazy, how they say children are the future. And with everything that's going on, I truly believe that, because then her last week of life comes. We're in Walmart on Monday, and she meets a little girl. Carter loves making friends. So she meets a little girl, and the little girl's like, hi, I want to be friends. And Carter was like, I don't think I'm going to ever see you again. And I'm like, well, why would you say something like that? And when Carter doesn't want you to talk anymore, she makes this face like, be quiet. So I'm like, oh, my bad. So we get in the car, and I'm like, well, Mama, why did you say that? And she goes, I have enough friends. I don't want to make any more friends that I'm never going to see. So I'm like, okay,
There's all these subtle signs.
Yeah.
On a daily basis, as parents, as moms, dads, we're just like, if my boy was to say something like that, I'm like,
yeah, you just brush over it.
Sure.
And then, she starts detaching herself. Usually she'll get in the bed with me, no problem. I'm like, Carter, sleep with me tonight. No, I really have to sleep by myself. I have to charge myself up. I'm like, okay. The next night, I got to sleep by myself. I got to charge myself up. I'm like, okay. Then I don't want to go to school anymore. Well, why? You need school. No, I don't. Well, when you get older, you need reading and writing. Carter says, for what I'm going to be doing, I'm not going to need anything here. And I'm like, well, what are you going to be doing? And she goes, I can't tell you exactly what I'm going to be doing, but I'm not going to need anything that's here. And then one thing that her dad pointed out, which was true, Carter never knew what day of the week it was. It could be Monday and she thinks it's Wednesday. She never grasped the concept of time. She was great in math.
Was this recently, or you just knew about this?
So I know about it even back when she was in kindergarten and first grade, like the songs that they were singing in days of the week, she was not participating specifically those songs. And then later on, when I'm like, all right, baby, today you got gym, or Tuesday, whatever, she just never could grasp the day, or never cared about it.
Even with a digital clock, it could be 3:38. Carter, what time is it? She'll make it up. So then her grandpop is like, well, Carter, you're not even trying. And she says, well, Grandpop, why does it matter what time it is when one day time won't matter for anybody?
Wow.
And it's just thinking on all these gems and things, or her saying, one day you'll realize you don't have to do too much to be great. These big things coming out of a small child. And then I'm just learning about, 7 years old is when you become accountable with yourself with God. 7 years old is the year of completion. And it's like, she did what she was supposed to do here and got up out of here. Like, this is ghetto, I'm leaving. Like, that's almost like what it was. And she was so special. And it's like, you think you have all this time. And when that time came, the time didn't matter, because, we're getting ready to go eat and she's leaving. And, we imagined her, being an adult, being grown.
Sure. As every parent.
Mm-hmm.
We used to tease her and say we're going to prom with her and we're going to college with her, and she, no, you can, and no, Mom is, and we, even now, I completely understand what's happening, but I can still see her future so clear. The way she spoke about it, we all believe what our kids say, and we all, but I was certain, like whatever she said, I knew she was capable. She wanted to be a doctor, rapper, lawyer, and she had so many interests. And when she said she wanted to do something, it wasn't just, okay, yeah, you can, just because we want to encourage our kid. It was, I firmly believed it. And for her time to be cut short, I'm grateful that we spent those 7 years, and I'm grateful that we allowed, when I say we, not only we, but everyone allowed her to be her all the time.
Yeah.
That's probably the best peace of mind I got out of this, just hearing everybody's experience with her. Like a lot of us think children are children, but we learned so much from her, we gained so much from her. She poured more into this world than she took
Right.
out.
Absolutely. Because even with all of this experience, like, I'm not angry, neither is her dad. We don't feel like we want to be spiteful, malicious, or hateful. It's like Carter left us with so much love that all we can do is give it to others. So it's like I told my friends, don't stop asking me to watch your kids. Like, I want to see these kids. I want to see them growing up. I want to be around them. And like he said, with allowing her to be herself, my parents had said, we're proud of the way you guys raised her, because if you didn't allow her to be herself, she wouldn't have been able to show herself. And I never looked up Carter's name until now that she's passed. We gave her the name Carter because we didn't want her to be identified. And her name means transporter of all things good. And that's all she ever did, was project goodness on people. She loved everybody, and she wasn't a fan of how like in school there's popular kids and things like that. Not saying that, I hate the term like nerd or geek or things, but it's like the people she chose to be around, or like less than perfect, or kids that she would convince to come out of your shell, or, kids that were lonely, and she gave that love to them. And that's amazing at 7 to not worry about what other people are thinking.
She was great at identifying what someone needed and catering to them. And at 7 years old, and then she was doing it even before that.
Right.
But like she did it with her parents, she did it with her grandparents. Like she knew my health, and Dad, you got to do this, and actually care, not being grown, not being smart. Like even with her grandfather could eat certain things, and she made sure, Mom, we got to get this for Grandpa because he need this, and just always concerned and caring, and like she said with her friends, like she had her best friends, but she was friends with everyone, and she found, let's say that person had an insecurity, whether, kids had their weight or this or that. She made them feel good about themselves. And for a 7-year-old to pick confidence in people, I think that's a rare thing that I'm happy that she was able to do to so many people.
And very sure of herself. I used to say, oh my goodness, I never wanted to be like somebody so much, because if Carter said yes to something, she meant it. If she said no to something, she meant it. If she was gonna do something, she did it. She just knew exactly what she wanted to do, and that's something that me as an adult, I struggle with. You spread yourself thin trying to please everybody, and she was not that way. She did what she could do, and if she couldn't do it, she didn't do it. And I used to be like, I can't wait to be like that. And I used to tell her every day, like, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I want to be like you one day. Like, it's insane, and it's not insane, but it was definitely a blessing to have that. And with this experience that has happened to us, it made me just like, I don't want to play around with my life anymore. I know there's something greater, because recently I learned about, the body, the spirit, and your soul. And like when I said, it's like I felt like something slipped away from my fingertips and slipped out my chest, that, the spirit. And then her body, of course, is here, but then her soul, that heaviness resonating. And then when I prayed for peace and that calmness came, I didn't feel that heaviness anymore. But Carter was such a light, and not that I didn't realize, but it's definitely being made known, because I haven't been scared of the dark in years. And then now that she's not here, I had to go to my car the first night that she wasn't with us, and I was terrified. I was terrified to step outside in the dark. And so, you pray those fears away, because God didn't give that to us. He didn't give us that spirit. But as much the confidence every day that I had was coming from her, that light was coming from her, no fear was coming, that strength was coming from my 7-year-old every day. And
I'm sorry.
you're good.
I just don't want to go with the fear thing. You know, as adults, we start to get jaded by the world. We start to experience things that give us fear and give us anxiety and give us all these things. And although her time was cut short, which is bittersweet, I'm just happy that she never knew what fear was. She never knew what, she was the littlest person going on a whole bunch of roller coasters and excited. Whether we were on a plane and felt extreme turbulence.
She was excited.
She was excited. She did not know the feeling of fear. She would watch scary movies at nighttime, before bedtime. That's what we did. We watched scary movies.
And she would love it. It's nothing. I'm like, oh my God.
And it showed that, God never puts fear in us.
Yeah.
And God was with her and never instilled that in her. And I think the world is what put fear in us. And I'm glad that she didn't come to the age where she has to start experiencing that, or has to start experiencing so much negativity that it takes away her innocence and her joy, because she kept that all 7 years, and she went on to the next life with that.
And we're seeing the texts, the calls, the messages from Instagram, Facebook, phone. No one is being ignored, and I want to make that clear, that no one's being ignored. It's just so many messages coming through.
And it's one of the reasons why we're doing this.
Yeah, definitely. I want everybody to know that we are beyond grateful, because these messages that we're opening from everybody, it's not, I'm sorry for your loss and that's it. People are praying for our sanity, our peace, our hearts, our families. There's people I haven't talked to in years that have reached out, people answering the phones. And it's so overwhelming, and almost, it's like unbelievable, the amount of love that we're getting from everybody. It's so appreciative, because if we had to walk this by ourselves, I don't know how we would be making it, because people are like, you guys are doing so good, but inside, I'm yelling, I'm screaming. It's like, help me. But that help is really coming from everybody, and I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. It's not just an I'm sorry for your loss. People are really digging into our spirit, and it's nothing but God through these people, and we love everybody so, so very much. To just take the time out, even people that were coming to the hospital, people that are hitting me up, wanting to meet up, setting arrangements to the church. And
even the nurses at the hospital.
Oh my goodness.
CHOP Hospital.
They did their thing.
I never thought we would be in this position. And I thought we would, I swore I would have lost my mind if this ever happened. But CHOP made this not easy, but bearable.
Yeah.
They treated our daughter with so much respect. Up until when they took her body, they were still, hey, Carter, we're going to do this. And although Carter moved on, they treated us with respect. They treated her with respect. She kept her dignity
the entire time.
It wasn't just because she moved on, so let's treat it like a dead body.
They treated her like she was a princess in that room. Even when it came to, they washed her body. The first time they washed her body, I was surprised, because I'm like, they know what's going on. But then the second time they came in, they we're gonna wash her, but then they were like, do you want to help? And I was like, well, I have the certification, so they told me to glove up, and they were like, we'll let you lead it. So I'm washing her hair, washing her body, getting her together. But what was interesting was the first day they washed her, and this was the same night, we're praying for peace. Carter had eczema. They washed her, and there was not a blemish on her body, no eczema, no scars, no nothing. And it was just like, oh my goodness, like, oh my gosh, like, we know she's already moved on, but now her body's prepared. Her body hasn't changed any more color. Her color is the same, even getting her prepared for Sunday. You know, we're having her service 5:00 p.m. at Praise Tabernacle in Egg Harbor Township. And just preparing her, it's like this, it's amazing. It's just amazing to see how beautiful she still is, even with all of this going on. And, you know, we said to the nurses and the doctors there, you know, even though our outcome wasn't leaving the hospital with her, we wanted them to know that it was still a win because they made the transition so easy for us. And they were like, you know, even though Carter, they haven't spoken with her, they've never met a family like ours. She changed the entire wing. Nurses were asking, can we work this case with them? And it was just amazing. Like the love was still projecting off of her, even with her body just being here. And that could have been nothing but God. And when I go on Instagram, I see so many people are having babies right now, are pregnant, and all I can think in my head is it's just more light, more angels, and, you know, please, like, you know, let these kids be them, and don't be afraid to learn from your kids. You know, people will say, you know, keep a child in a child's place. These kids are coming to really show us something and get us together, because Carter used to get me together all the time. Like, oh, that's what you're putting on, or this or that. Like, but just in the bigger picture, these kids are coming directly from where we're trying to get to. You know what I mean? So they come with everything that we need. And I just want people to really open their hearts and open their eyes and be receptive to their new babies coming, because they're coming with everything that they need. And that's what I want parents to really, you know, hold on to, that your kids are coming with everything that you need, even if you think you're not prepared. Because, you know, I had Carter at 21 and I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? You know, we're thinking childcare, we're thinking this and that. Every time we looked at her, every time we were with her, it was like time slowed down. It didn't matter. These kids, they come with everything that they need. They are the care package, and they have the map for us. You just pay attention to them, and that's it.